And that feature brings us to our first conversation on the program today about World Food Day. Who do I have here? I have a guest with me that will tell us more about World Food Day. He is Zanao Hassan Meikasua, an agri consultant, and together we'll be discussing about the celebration of World Food Day. You're welcome to Good Morning Abuja.
You're welcome to the program.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, this day needs to be celebrated. Like, well, who can do without food?
Food, like,
We need to celebrate. So, sir, what's the importance of this particular day in trying to solve food problem globally?
Yes, the Food and Agri Organization have to um, bring about the World Food Day almost every year. And one of the reasons is to be able to create awareness,
Okay.
bring stakeholders within the sector. And because when you talk about food, everybody is a stakeholder.
Mm.
The person who has no business with the farm but has business with food on his
Table,
table is a
exactly.
stakeholder. Then we have the other stakeholders, the farmers, the production, the producers of seeds, pesticides, the
Okay.
researchers, the policymakers in government, the private sector. All of them are basically their
Transporters
stakeholders.
of the food.
yeah.
Yes, everyone, the
Everybody,
market seller,
everybody's
all are
involved.
stakeholders. So
Okay.
it's important to raise, bring about issues that
Mm.
will be discussed on a yearly basis to bring about the challenge, to discuss about the challenges of food, and then find solutions to those things. If, for example, before now you don't think about those things, it's important that at least once in a year those issues are brought to the front burner so that even journalists, media can also project those things, and the generality of the people of the world also pay attention to that.
Okay, talking about the awareness that you just talked about, we are celebrating World Food Day today.
Yes.
How can this celebration help us raise more awareness in terms of food security?
Yeah, so when you look at Nigeria, for example,
Yes.
we are having a lot of challenges as it results to food.
Mm.
If you ask an ordinary Nigerian this year what are his challenges about food, the first thing he will tell you is high cost of
High
food.
cost, yes.
That is a very big issue for him, because he will have discovered that what he used to consume before has reduced. If
Mm.
he at a point was able to consume, let's say, 2 pieces of meat, now he
Mm.
would have reduced it to just one.
Mm.
If he used to
If
consume
the
egg on a
one
daily
is
basis,
even available,
yeah.
right?
So
Now, as we celebrate World Food Day today, what is the theme for this year and why is it important? Why is it chosen?
yes. So the theme for this year is water is life,
Mm.
water is food.
Mm.
Leave no one behind.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you've also taken note, you will have discovered that water plays a very important
Important
role
role.
Mm.
in food production.
Mm.
Without water, we can't grow food.
Mm.
Yes.
100% of our
Mm.
food is grown by water.
Water, of
Yes.
course.
Whether it is rainwater or
Uh,
it is irrigation
yes.
water.
Water,
Mm.
all is water.
Also, you will also discover that we have been battling with about 2 degrees Celsius climate change in
Mm.
temperature. This climate change is also is bringing about loss of water in many communities across the world.
Okay.
Uh, in Nigeria, for example, the Lake Chad used to occupy a very large land mass.
Mm.
But over the years, it has shrunk to a much more smaller size,
Okay.
Mm.
and it has affected the surrounding communities,
Mm.
people depending on those water and that the Lake Chad resources.
Mm.
You also discover that over about 600 million people across the world depend on resources from water, whether they are fishermen, they
Mm.
depend on businesses that have to do with water. But once those water continue to reduce, fresh water, for example, we have challenge. And now 72% of freshwater resources in the world goes to agriculture.
Mhm.
The other percentage goes to water supply in the cities, factories, companies, and all that. But agriculture take the majority. So if we can't manage the water resources we have, it means that we cannot continue to grow this food for much more longer.
Mm.
Even though we know that 70% of the world is water,
Mm.
but the majority of the water is also salt water,
Mm.
Okay,
which is not also
good.
good for agriculture.
Okay.
The one that is fresh water is the one that comes, from rain, goes into our rivers, the one we dam,
Mm.
and then we can use it for irrigation. But also the rainwater have continued to reduce in some locations. You discover that some locations that used to have 4 months of rain,
Mm.
now they can't have 4 months. Some that used to have 6 months, now they are having 4 months.
Mm.
The period, and then also the rainfall pattern is also shifting. You
Mm.
discover that some before rain used to stop in October,
Mm.
now rain may extend into November,
November,
and
even at
then
times
yes,
December. Yes.
and then it's
Yeah.
Mm.
affecting those who are expected to harvest and dry their things in
Exactly.
October,
Mm.
November. Rain is still falling and all that. So
When you leave a consultant to talk about
Keep talking.
they'll keep talking. And we know it's a very interesting
Interesting
topic
topic,
we're
yeah.
discussing, but let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, we have been talking about, well, celebrating World Food Day. Now, let's go on this quick break. When we come back, the discussion continues. Stay with us, please. Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, the program is still Good Morning Abuja, showing only on the Unity Station NTA Channel 5. And here we are talking food. We are discussing about food safety and with regard to World Food Day today that we are celebrating. And we
Exactly.
have our agri consultant here with us that has been talking to us more about food. Yes, you were giving us some breakdowns, some analysis. Now, how can an individual, you and I, even if we don't have that tag, farmers,
Mm-hmm.
agri consultants, contribute to ensure that food is available?
yeah, so to not only to make sure that food is available,
Mm.
but to also contribute in achieving the theme, water is life, water is food.
Okay.
So you also discover that certain percentage, about up to 20% of the food that is being produced also go to waste.
Mm.
Mm.
So once those food items go to waste, whether it is the one that you are supposed to consume
That's the
at
one
home, right?
so.
Mm.
They give you a bowl of food, you just eat half,
You
and the
can't
other
finish
half
it.
it goes to waste.
Mm.
It is the same water that has been used to produce that food. If you are not able to manage it, you are also wasting
Mm.
food wastage. So if we as individuals can minimize food wastage, food suppliers, food vendors, marketers, those who are transporting food, or government that is also responsible in ensuring that we have good roads so that those who are transporting tomato, for example, from Kano, will not lose half the quantity of the tomato by the
Yes.
time it arrives, let's say, for example, in Lagos, due to bad roads. So every one of us have a role to play in ensuring that the food we continue to consume. We should also have in mind that we have about 2 billion people who also go hungry.
Hungry,
Mm.
yes,
So
every
while
day.
other people have more than enough to the point that they can also waste it.
Mm.
So it's important that as individuals, we also know that in ensuring that nobody is left behind,
Mm.
is that you play your role in such a way that you manage the resources within that you have.
Yeah.
Also, as resulting to water resources,
Mm.
is that we shouldn't also waste water. We should
Mm.
also
Exactly.
contribute to polluting water resources, because this same water, as we all know, they go through a cycle,
Yes.
Mm.
right? The
Mm.
water that you pollute also goes into a river. Some people also consume that.
Mm.
Fishes also grow there. We also
Yeah.
consume those fish.
Mm.
So how we manage water in such a way that it is also sustainable, it's very critical. So everybody has a role in
Okay,
it.
so this celebration, that celebration of World Food Day, is an annual event.
Mm.
So we want to know, are there success stories that's coming from other past events, other celebration of World Food Day, that maybe that you are willing to share with us, some other success stories that you have so
Yes.
far?
So last year they talked about better production, um, better climate, and
Mm.
all that. Now, the whole idea is one to bring attention of major stakeholders, just like I defined earlier. Government is a main stakeholder.
Mm.
If government had not been thinking about, for example, this year about water, and have not also put in mind to look at the challenges that are affecting water supply, both rainwater and the water that comes to our river. For example, last year we have a massive flood that has affected a number of farms, particularly rice farmers, which also contribute
Mm.
in increase in cost of rice. If government has a role in ensuring that either they cushion or they prevent this flooding from
Yeah.
happening, government will have to take action on that.
Mm.
Individuals also, researchers who are within the research institutes, who are expected to either produce foods that can tolerate drought, so that those who are experiencing drought can also be able to grow food despite the fact that their rainfall regime has
Mm.
reduced. So
Mm.
it is bringing that knowledge and those information to bear, and various stakeholders will begin to now take action
Mm.
as it affects every one of them.
Okay,
Mm.
we don't have all the time, but before we let you go, you are going to answer like two in one. The role of climate change in food production and what you have to tell us today that we are celebrating the World Food Day before we go.
Yes, climate change is about increase in temperature, global increase in temperature, and our dependence on activities of fossil fuel, for example,
Mm.
uh, which leads to climate change. We are also called upon to begin to look at sustainable ways of using things, recycling things, instead of, because the more you use things that factories need to produce over and over,
Mm.
it contributes to global climate change,
Mm.
right? So if you are able to reduce those things, instead of reusing it, instead of buying new ones, you are able to
Mm.
reuse those ones.
Mm.
It will also reduce the amount that need to be produced. So as individuals, we also have a role to play based on our practices, our demand, and things we always use. Um, we also need to add our voices to our government, because government also need to
Mm,
take
yes.
action to ensure that they also promote sustainable practices
Mm.
that will help in reducing impact on climate
Change.
change.
Okay.
Okay.
So you've told us a whole lot. We've
A
learned to
whole
like.
lot.
So this climate change is actually changing things, and the more if farmers are aware,
Mm.
they will make use of the opportunity from the information they
Yes.
know to actually make sure that they work with the seasons
Mm.
and make sure
Exactly.
that food is not scarce.
Exactly. And also they have the information. For
Yeah.
example, farmers should be able to know that they won't have sufficient rain this
Rainfall.
year.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Always.
once they have the information, they will be able to use
Those.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's the duty of NIMET,
Hmm.
which is a government agency.
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
for coming on the
Thank you
program
so
and
much.
sharing your information with
Yes.
us.
Thank you
Like
for
we've
having
learned
me.
a lot,
Thank you.
and
Mm.
we've really learned. And I'm sure viewers at home actually were following on the conversation and they have learned a thing or two. We've
Thank
been
you so much
speaking,
for coming.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we've been speaking with Zanau Hassan Meikaswa. He is an agri consultant and he has told us how to be able to sustain the agriculture. It's not just for the government; it's for you too, the farmers, everybody. Is a collective effort to actually make sure food is sustainable.